we decided as a part of the leadership team that we'll have a series of presentations as Tajurba knowledge series, and we'll educate our fellow members and visitors about different aspects of business. So this is the first presentation in that series, and it's about laws and rights that every citizen should know. I've been given this topic because I'm a lawyer by qualification and by profession. I'm a partner with PSP Legal, a South Delhi based firm. I'll tell you more about myself and the work that I do in my elevator pitch. Right, so starting with the preamble. How many of you know about the preamble? Yeah?
Protocol.
In the Constitution of India, the first thing that we have is the preamble. It talks about what we about the country. About the country, we the people of India have given ourselves, and so on and so forth. So we are a democracy. Everyone, yes, no?
Yes.
We are a republic.
Yes.
What's the difference?
Don't know. We have a constitution that is republic. Democratic, we are free. That is.
Democratic is an elected form of government.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Republic, you are going to tell us.
So we are free. 1947, Azadi Mili, we became independent, and we gave ourselves, we gave each and every citizen of India a right to choose our elected representatives. We are a republic. How do we select a republic? Is through a democracy, because we have a right to vote. Again, these are very, I would say, detailed subjects, and it'll take years and years to discuss about that. So I'll keep it very short, very brief. Any questions at the end of the presentation, right? So we are a democratic republic. We are there? Yes. All right. We all have fundamental rights. Yes. आपने सुना होगा newspaper में, we all have fundamental rights. Right to live, right to work. What other?
Right to voice, right to speak,
Right to education.
freedom of speech,
Constitutional
freedom of speech. And
Sorry?
Right to constitutional.
Right to know.
Yes.
Right to know.
Yeah, that's a part of
right to work,
right to work in any part of the country.
Right to
Yeah.
except Kashmir.
Kashmir is a different topic altogether. Yeah, it's a different topic altogether. So we have a fundamental rights. And when you have a right, every right has a corresponding duty. इसका क्या मतलब होता है? अगर मेरे पास right है, तो there is someone who guarantees me that right. If I have a right to speak, right to work, so there's a government, there's an elected government who guarantees me that. अगर मुझे कोई रोकता है to work in, let's say, Bangalore, I have a court to go. So the court will ensure that कि मुझे कोई रोक नहीं सकता वहाँ काम करने से. Of course, there उसके certain terms and conditions होते हैं. Of course, we won't get into that details. But yes, you have your rights. So we clear basic about rights. Article 14, Article 15. These are very interesting topics. When you go home, just do a short read about it. Article 14.
Right to equality.
Right to equality. Article 14. Yeah. Right of your religious rights. Right to worship. Right to choose. So you have your fundamental rights in place. And we always say, right to, if anyone stops you anywhere, the right to drive on a road is my fundamental right. आप मेरे को कैसे रोक सकते हो? Right to live in a society. I have a right to live in a society in a particular manner. No one can stop me from doing that. Right to have a pet in my house. There are several societies out there जो बोलते हैं आप pet नहीं रख सकते हो. It's your right. You can have a pet. No one can deny you that. Even the society rules cannot deny you keeping a pet at your place. Until unless your pet has gone wild and has bit someone, again those are subjective things, right? Now you have fundamental duties also. जैसे rights होते हैं वैसे duties होती हैं. Rights are enforceable in the court. आप court में enforce कर सकते हैं अपने rights को. Duties we don't care much about because वो ज़्यादा interesting होते नहीं है क्योंकि उसमें onus हमारे पे ज़्यादा होता है करने को. ठीक है. राइट्स तो होते हैं जो हम डिमांड करते हैं, ये मेरी राइट है, मुझे चाहिए. ड्यूटी टू कीप द कंट्री क्लीन, लेट मी थिंक अबाउट इट. ठीक है. अ ड्यूटी नॉट टू आई वुड से किसी को परेशान नहीं करना. राइट, इट्स योर ड्यूटी. we don't care much about that, right?
So is fundamental duties related to the basic civic sense?
It is. If you read the Constitution, you'll find it out. The fundamental duties. Then comes the court. So basically, in any democracy, there are three pillars: the legislature, the judiciary, and the administrative, the executive. Okay? I can go on, but let's keep it there. And then we have courts. Oh, really? Next, please. All right. So the criminal law. So we have the Indian Penal Code, which lists all the offences, any and all offences given there, and the Criminal Procedure Code, the offences are defined and described. So CRPC entails how a criminal trial should take place. Okay? I'll have to rush a bit.
Oh, no, don't.
Okay, that's fine.
You took a lot of time on it, sir. Please.
Okay. So let's talk a bit about criminal law. The first thing, what is shown to you in Bollywood, don't believe that. It's all incorrect. ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं होता. No one comes to your door and say you are under arrest. कहीं नहीं होता ऐसा नहीं होता है. Just there's a procedure. A police cannot arrest you at its own will. कोई भी आपके घर पे आके दरवाजा नॉक करके नहीं बोल सकती अंडर. There's a proper procedure to it, right? Of course, because a lot of people, we don't know about the procedures, so we get intimidated because of the police. But if you start questioning the police, they'll give you the answers. No one can arrest you. No one can just keep you behind the bars for no rhyme or reason. It's not possible. Women cannot be arrested post 6 p.m. right? And before 6 a.m. आपको उस period में, उस 12 घंटे में, no one can arrest you until unless someone's done a very heinous crime. Only then that person can be arrested. But women police officer, constable को होना ज़रूरी है, नहीं तो आप arrest नहीं हो सकते हो. It is against the Supreme Court verdict. No one can do that. It's not possible. Again, if you're called to a police station for questioning, there's again a proper procedure to it. No police officer will pick up the phone. आप आ जाओ सेक्टर 56 के थाने, पूछताछ करनी है. नहीं होता ऐसा. No one can do that. Even the police officer cannot do that. You can always ask the police officer, what is my offense? किस सेक्शन के अंदर. और अगर आपको बुलाया भी जाता है, there's a proper document that's given to you, and then you are asked to come to the police station. It is not that easy, right? So in the past several years, we've come across a lot of matrimonial disputes, right? We have someone here. Yes. So we have a visitor. So what do you do, sir? Just for the knowledge of the audience.
Pre-marriage counselling and
Pre-marriage
counselling up to 1 year online.
After that, no guarantee.
Again, so this. All right. So basically something like this has come up in the market because there are a lot of matrimonial disputes. Without taking any sides, who is right or who is wrong, the guy is right or the girl is right, let's not get into that. But there are several legislations out there which are very women friendly, because of the society structure, women were that section of the society who were oppressed. So we have a lot of legislations, and therefore again it has been misused in a number of instances, but that doesn't mean that women should not be given that, right? That's my personal opinion. Anyway, let's talk about that. So marriage registration. Every marriage by law has to be registered. Hindu marriage under the Hindu Marriage Act or the Special Marriage Act. ये दो legislations होते हैं जिनमें शादियाँ register करनी ज़रूरी है. और अब इसलिए भी ज़रूरी है, आप passport लेने जाओगे, no one will give you the passport without a marriage certificate, right? The basic, sorry. So there are basic differences between the Hindu Marriage Act and Special Marriage Act. Basically, Hindu Marriage Act where both the parties are Hindus, and Special Marriage Act में दोनों हिंदू भी हो सकते हैं, different religion के भी हो सकते हैं. For Muslim, it's a bit different, right? In the Special Marriage Act, right? If you go for a court marriage, if anyone goes once a boy and a girl get married, उसके बाद वो कोर्ट जाते हैं शादी रजिस्टर करने के लिए, that will happen in the Hindu Marriage Act. और अगर आप जाके कोर्ट मैरिज करते हैं, that will be under the Special Marriage Act, right? Now for women, we have the Dowry Prohibition Act and the Domestic Violence Act, the two pioneer acts जिनको रखा गया है for women. Dowry prohibition, very self-explanatory. it's against it has been come into place because of the concept of dowry, which is again very flawed, but because it's there in our system, it's there in our society, so we have a Prohibition Act. Any kind of dowry, any kind of demand, cash, check, demand drafts, gifts and everything is prohibited pre or post marriage. It's not allowed, it's illegal. Domestic Violence Act, unfortunately this is a very stark reality in our country. There's a lot of domestic violence against women in our country शादी के बाद. Mental harassment, ठीक है, physical harassment, मारना पीटना, unfortunately that happens a lot. Mental torture is a part of Domestic Violence Act. Mental torture is defined. Not giving so things like a married woman not being given her own private room is an harassment under the Domestic Violence Act, right? These are very progressive legislations, and I would suggest everyone should actually read it. It's not possible to cover everything here, so you should have a read of it so you know your rights, what rights do females have. Divorce and separation. Now these are two different concepts, divorce and separation. A couple can be separated and not divorced. Ye possible hai. Divorce is like the last thing, right? Again, there's a defined procedure how a divorce will happen. Either it's a mutually contested, mutually agreed divorce where husband and wife, they say theek hai, we need to get divorced, you go to the court, 6 months, divorce done. Or if it's a contested divorce, that's unfortunately very ugly, because there are a lot of allegations and counter allegations, and it's not a very healthy litigation. That's my opinion. Driving related offenses. So we all know this is pretty severe. Driving without wearing a seat belt and well speaking, these are all offenses under the Motor Vehicles Act. Interestingly, I've mentioned that previously also, you don't need to carry your driving license, your registration certificate in hard copy. You can keep that in you can have your digital copies in your DigiLocker, or there's another app where you can have it. No one can say no to it. Interestingly, a Supreme Court committee was formed to check into rash driving. So if someone gets caught as driving speedily over a certain limit, your driving license will be impounded there and then. उसी समय ले लिया जाएगा और 3 महीने के लिए you are without your license. So again, we all know driving license, RC, pollution certificate, these are mandatory documents that you need to always have with you. Prior to a notification about that came in about a few months back, you were supposed to carry it as hard copies, but now you can carry your digital copies, except your pollution certificate, which is of course a hard copy. The last point, once you challan for an offense, for example, you don't have a license, 24 घंटे तक आपको दोबारा उस offense के लिए दोबारा चालान नहीं किया जा सकता है, that you don't have a driving license. If you have been challaned for if you don't have a driving license and you've been challaned, तो ऐसा नहीं है, आपको दोबारा भी चालान किया जा सकता है if you're over speeding. So understand that distinction. Succession. Now this is a very interesting topic. The Hindu Succession Act, after the amendment in 2006, has given rights to the daughters to become equal co-partners, as co-partners. So what I mean is, daughters have an equal say, an equal right in the property of their fathers. कौन सी प्रॉपर्टी दो तरह की होती है, सेल्फ अक्वायर्ड और एंसेस्ट्रल. एंसेस्ट्रल में तो आपका हक बनता है, सेल्फ अक्वायर्ड में कोई हक नहीं बनता है. योर फादर, योर मदर can bequeath all of his property to me, right? Without asking you, and you can do nothing about it.
Self-acquired.
Self-acquired. Ancestral में he cannot give me even a penny. उसका defined है कि किसको कितना मिलेगा. There's a proper, the legislation is a proper format, a proper calculation. 1/3 किसको मिलेगा, half किसको मिलेगा, 1/4 किसको मिलेगा.
That can be contested as well.
No, that cannot be contested. वो प्रॉड लिखा हुआ है.
If there is no will only.
हाँ, if there's no will.
Question answer later, please.
ठीक है. So self-acquired versus ancestral. This is exactly what I was saying. If it's ancestral, you have the right to the property. If it's self-acquired, you have zero right of that property. Your father can just bequeath it to anyone. You can do nothing about it. Of course, as sir said, कि अगर will है, अगर will नहीं है, तो फिर वो एंसेस्ट्रल प्रॉपर्टी में आ जाएगा और उस तरीके से एक सर्टेन डिविजन होता है. It's not very easy to say this, but it's very important that everyone has his or her own will, because an absence of a will creates a big problem बाद में when there's a lot of property distribution को लेकर. There's a lot of लड़ाई झगड़ा and litigation, and trust me, it's not very healthy. Next, consumer protection. Now this is again a very important thing. Deficiency of service is defined. Now who comes under the consumer protection? We are all consumers. If I buy a laptop from Amazon, I'm a consumer, right? If I take interior designing services from you, Kuntal, I am a consumer, right? And you are a service provider. If there's a deficiency of service, I can take you to the consumer court. Consumer court is at district level, state level, and at a national. Every district in India will have a consumer court. Every state in India will have one consumer court, and national level pe there is one consumer court, right? Or inke jurisdictions are on the basis of the value of the dispute. Okay? If it's up to 20 lakhs, it's district. If it's between 20 lakhs to 1 CR, it's state. 1 CR and above, it becomes the national. Right? There is an amendment which has been tabled. So if that happens, up to 1 CR will be at the district court, but that is going to take some time. We all understand the concept of the maximum retail price. There's a proper act. No one can charge you even a paisa more than the maximum retail price, which is printed on the good or whatever it is, right? Though it's you have a right to bargain. आप बोल सकते हो कि मुझे discount चाहिए, but under any circumstance, no one can charge you more than the MRP, except if you are in a hotel, if you are in a restaurant and having a glass of let's say a mug of beer, तो भाई वो MRP पे तो नहीं मिलेगा, because there's service attached to it. तो
mineral water we have to
हाँ, mineral water you have to serve at MRP.
So if I bought it at 60, MRP 60, I have to sell at 60.
So, and if you're thirsty, no hotel, no restaurant, no one can deny you a glass of water. Just because you don't have money, that doesn't mean कि कोई आपको पानी नहीं देगा, वो देना पड़ेगा. The same thing. Faulty products come under the purview of deficiency in service, right? You have a right to approach the courts, and petitions can be filed as a single individual or as a group, or you can form an association and approach the court. Employment. Now, every person that gets employed need to sign an employment agreement. If you have employees, you must have an employment agreement with that person, which clearly defines its rights and obligations, what the person can do, what the person cannot do, and the salary and everything. It's all defined. It's very important to have this document, or else it could be a problem going forward, because the courts in India, the labor courts, are always employee friendly. Until unless you have a very strong case as an employer,
99%.
फिर आपके फेवर में जजमेंट नहीं जाए. Until unless you have a very strong case, right? It's always employee friendly. Though employees don't go to the courts, that is also a reality. But at the same time, it's very important to have your employment agreement. There are rules for provident fund also. If your establishment has X number of people, you need to have a provident fund account where you need to deposit some money. Now, gratuity, if someone is an organization for 5 years, then there's a gratuity concept. Notice period, bond is against the Constitution of India. You cannot have a bond, period. Bonds are never enforceable. आप वो हो ही नहीं सकता enforceable. तभी भी नहीं है.
So जो भी bond करते हैं वो सारे फर्जी हैं.
सब फर्जी है. We'll talk about that. It's a very interesting topic.
And I also want to know about
Bonds. Okay. Bonds are illegal. It's unconstitutional. It's unenforceable. No one can do that.
I have worked under bond.
Sorry, you should have attended this presentation pehle. Anyways, okay, coming to non-compete. Now, we always see, as an employee also, we see kind of agreements which says if you're working in this industry, in this company, you cannot work in a different company for next 2 years. It is unconstitutional. Unconstitutional. ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता है. Enforceability is zero. Zero is the enforceability. उसको enforce किया ही नहीं जा सकता. It's against the Indian Contract Act.
This is for only companies, or these are organizations also?
Right. recovery.
I know what he's asking. He's asking, are these for organizations also? Look where he's going. I'm going there.
We'll discuss. We'll discuss.
Focus, please. I won't have it anymore.
Right.
Please, I'm giving you 10 seconds. Run through.
Next. Now about bank loans. If you've taken a bank loan, the recovery agent who calls you, he cannot demand any money from you. It's illegal. Call the police station. He'll get arrested. ठीक है. Recovery agents. Now it's detailed. We'll maybe some other time we'll discuss about it. Next slide. Now we've discussed about the Dowry Prohibition Act. Now there was a very interesting Supreme Court decision which said daughter-in-laws are an integral part of the family and not maid servants. These were the words that were used. Important for women to know this. And you have a right to be treated equally at home, to be treated equally at office. There cannot be any pay disparity. Ki a guy is getting more salary, you're the same position, like in different salary. Sorry, ऐसा नहीं हो सकता just because there's on the genders because of the gender, right? Last point, POSH. सबसे hot topic है prevention of sexual harassment at workplace. It's a very, very, very progressive legislation, right? But it has been used as a tool to settle scores. If I even staring at a girl, she can take me to the POSH, right? If we're part of the same organization, even staring at a girl is an offense. Sarvinder sir.
More than 7 seconds. More than 7 seconds.
Right, so we'll talk about POSH is a very big topic. I think we had a speaker previously who spoke about POSH in detail. But I don't remember the name, but she did speak about a lot, and because of the paucity of time I cannot go on and on. So any questions? I believe we'll have to take over. We'll have to take it offline. So thank you very much. I know it was speeded, but thank you.